Yeah, I'm going to go to Temple University to do a double major in film and media communications to hopefully pursue a career in broadcast, maybe radio or TV broadcast.
After high school, I plan on going to Bucks County and getting all those silly courses out of the way, and going to Temple and trying to double major in film and broadcasting, maybe be a news anchor.
OTN here is definitely the best start I could have asked for. I didn't know what I was going to do until I came here. It really helped shape you up.
I plan on studying film, maybe make a movie someday.
3, 2, 1.
Pepsi!
OTN is a great program at the school. Even though I'm not majoring in film after high school, it's something that really helps us, and it prepares us, and it's a really useful skill that we learn. And we have some of the best equipment around. I mean, I think we have some of the best equipment that any high school around here has, so I think we have an advantage there. It's a really great program, and I think it's helped us a lot on a lot of different levels.
Major in broadcast journalism and maybe become anchor.
Welcome to OTN.
Welcome to OTN. My name is Chase Preston, and I'm welcoming you to OTN.
Welcome to OTN!
Yeah!
Welcome to OTN.
Welcome to OTN. Welcome, Tamala. Thanks for coming to OTN.
You really need to hear this. Every day is something new. There's always a new story. You are brilliant. Do I really have the passion? Do I really have the spark? Hello, OTN, and thank you for that welcome video. I want to give you guys a round of applause because you are so awesome. Your program, what you're doing, it's an honor to be here with you guys today. And, you know, a couple things caught my eye in the video, that's just showing how on the ball you guys are. The people who said they were going to go to Temple, one of the best programs in the country. In fact, David Murphy, if you watch the morning show, he's a Temple grad and got a lot of his training right here in Philadelphia. And the person who said they were going to go to Bucks County Community College, where are you? You are brilliant. I did a story on that. So many kids are figuring out if you go to community college for the first 2 years, pay dirt to get your basics out of the way, and then pay the big money the last 2 years, save yourself some money. So I'm glad to see that I was onto something with that story. But it's an honor to be here. And just the first example I got of how motivated the kids in this program are, I was in King of Prussia Mall doing something at Mac store. My iPhone, iBook, something was having trouble. And a young lady turns around and her aunt's like, she goes to Ben Salem, she's on OTN, she wants to talk to you. And the young woman just had all these questions, but it was clear that she had such a knowledge base, that she'd really gotten steeped into understanding television. Usually you have these encounters with people and they say, I want to be on television, and you go, yeah, right. But when she started talking about editing and about other things that she knew about television, it was to the point that when I went back, I went to Tim Finstermacher, who runs our intern program, and said, you're going to hear from a young woman, and you should definitely make her an intern. So to Mr. Mills, you have a great program here, and you guys are on the right track. I wish I'd had something like OTN when I was in high school. Maybe I would have figured out the whole TV thing a lot earlier. But as you know, I'm Tamala Edwards. I do the morning show here on Action News from 5 to 7 in the morning with Matt O'Donnell, Karen Rogers, and David Murphy. Out of the blue, Channel 6 called me and said, we've got an opening. We very rarely have openings on our morning show, and we wonder if you'd consider it. And coming from print, I didn't know a lot about television stations, but a good friend and co-anchor at the time, David Muir, said to me, Channel 6 is a powerhouse. It is unlike just about any other station in the market. It's been #1 for about 30 years. It has set the course for so many other stations in terms of what they do. You absolutely need to go take a look at this. And so it worked out. And a snowy, blizzard-filled January, I packed all my stuff into a car and drove down in January with my sister, and it sort of dawned on me, I am moving to a completely new city where I don't know anybody, to take a job where I don't know anybody. This is going to be an adventure. But there are things in life that you do it, and it feels right away. And I would say going into that morning show, onto that set and into that newsroom, it just clicked. the city just clicked. Something said, this is where I'm supposed to be. And when I look back over the past 4 years and I think about all the things I've learned, all the stories that I've done, everything that I've ever done previously in my life, yes, I've worked at some national outlets, but this in many ways has felt more real. The interaction you get to have with the viewers in the supermarket and on the street, the stories are all the same, whether it's politics, social issues, entertainment, education, all of those skills get to come to the fore. And the city has just been so embracing in the way that they love Channel 6 and enjoy the newscasters, and we get to interact with it, with the city. It's amazing for all of you who want to be news anchors or reporters or do other things. If you find an environment like that, it's really a special place. But that's a little bit about me. I'm from Houston. Grew up in Texas where it never gets this cold and nobody can figure out how to drive when there's even a little dusting of snow on the road. Had no idea that this is what I go into. I grew up watching ABC News most of my life and reading Time magazine, and if somebody had told me that my career would encompass both of those places, I would have been amazed. And at this point feel really lucky and really blessed. And one of the things that I love doing is coming out and talking to young people, because my attitude is I'm where I am because other people stopped and took time with me, went into the tracking booth and said, this is how you do it. I had one friend who would say, call me up, even if it's at 5 in the morning, and would be on the phone with me while I was in the tracking booth, and he'd go, no, 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 you need to do it this way. I've had people work with me on writing, working with me on my appearance, working with me on how to be out in the field and do a story. And my sense is that for however much help somebody gave me, the payment is to turn around and help you guys, and your payment one day will be to turn around when somebody comes up to you in the Apple store and says, I want to be in television, to take a few minutes out and to talk to them. So with that, all your questions, whatever you want to know, I'm happy to answer them.
Hi, I'm Agran. How did you know you wanted to go into this field?
The TV was a veering off to the left, but as a kid, and I've always felt like everybody has something. Everybody has something they're good at. And if they could spend all their time doing that, that's what they do. And for me, as a kid, I loved to read and I loved to write. And I knew whatever I did as an adult needed to involve writing, needed to involve reading. And so that's why I think I thought newspapers, because tons of people write books and a lot of them starve. I said, well, at least newspaper reporters look like they have a daily gig and they get paid. So that's why I went in that direction. And it just so worked out that my internships brought me in contact with Time magazine, which was a place I'd grown up as a kid reading that magazine, and to get a job. And actually the summer I got a job, I'd been told there was a hiring freeze, bad times like there are now. They're not taking anybody. And I thought I was going to have to pack all my stuff at the end of the summer and go back to LA and be a management consultant, which my husband's here and he'll tell you, if you could see the way I balance or don't balance a checkbook, it's me as a management consultant is kind of funny. But the editor-in-chief would come down once a week to hold a meeting because I was working for the international edition. And I was like, I don't want this summer to go by and he doesn't know who I am. And he needs to at least put a face with a name. And so I sent him an email and said, I just want to come see you. I walked through the door, I just wanted to say hi. And before I could open my mouth, he said, I know what you want, bring me your clips. And I decided that was a really good time to shut up and say nothing and just bring him my clips. And out of that, I got a full-time job. And then 8 years later, by being in the right place at the right time, being on TV, somebody said, well, she seems poised, she doesn't seem afraid of the camera, let's give her a tryout.
Do you have any special tricks when you're anchoring and in front of the camera that keep you calm?
Do you guys ever notice when, and actually it's, somebody pointed this out to me the other day, do you notice that when Jim Gardner, when something really big is breaking, he goes slower? I tend to speed up, as do a lot of other anchors, but he goes slower and he takes his time, and by doing that, it almost makes you linger over his every word, like what is he gonna say next? And I think for me, I will sometimes lean into the desk, like finding that one point of contact so that I'm not moving around loosey-goosey, and I might even put my arm down on the desk there so that I'm anchored. And then other than that, I just imagine, because people will always tell you, the camera is like a filter. Whatever you give it and whatever you don't give it, it magnifies times 10. And so you really need to imagine somebody through that camera, and more than you're focused on moving around, more than you're focused on anything else, you're focused on, you really need to hear this. And bringing all of you, your face, your voice, everything. And you know, I've got to be really careful because I've got to face that I may be using my voice and I think that it projects and it shows a lot of animation, but my face will look like the Sphinx, it'll look like stone. And I've had to learn that sometimes I need to even just have a little bit of a smile, even if I'm going into a negative story, because it engages the muscles. And I think the more you think about what do I need to do to make the person on the other side of that screen, because in the morning, people are getting the baby up, they're making lunches, they're making breakfast, they're getting dressed, and they may only be listening to you, and you're always thinking about what would make this person stop for a moment and turn and look at the TV, or at least pay more attention with their ear. And that is your goal every time you're in front of that camera. What do I need to do to make you stop and give me your attention? And I am so fixated on that, you won't even be thinking about what you're doing, because you're gonna be like this trying to go through that camera. Imagine your mom, imagine your best friend, imagine your dog. Imagine whatever you have to do. I really am talking to you, I'm comfortable, I'm confident, I'm in control, but this is really serious and you need to listen to me.
Hi, I'm Molly. It's nice to meet you. You said you really like your job. Is there anything you don't like?
when it's time to get up. You know, some days the hours are long, and that would probably be the one thing that people would say they don't like, but I count myself among the lucky in that every day is something new. There's always a new story. You get to use your brain every day. I get to focus on things I love doing, reading and writing and thinking. Actually going out and reporting a story, getting to interact with people and to hear their stories firsthand, to ask questions that in any other part of life would be rude or impossible. Some of the things that you get to see and participate in are amazing. You know, probably the hardest thing that you don't like is everybody, no matter where you are on the spectrum, your attitude needs to be, I could be better. And sometimes being brought face to face with what you don't do well, or having a day where you just wipe out, and I've had a few of them. You know, you go home and you feel terrible, and you know, am I really meant to do this? Oh my goodness. But those moments are important too, because that's the moment when you really get to check in with yourself and say, do I really have the passion? Do I really have the spark? Because it's going to take that something extra to push through this and to get even better, and to retain that sense of, no matter what, if I can just say, Tuesday was better than Monday, that's a victory. So no, I mean, I'm lucky. I like my coworkers. We laugh so much on the set. I think you can tell when the camera's off, if you guys could just hear some of the stuff that gets said. They're all great people. I can't really think of something that I absolutely don't like about my job.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I was just wondering, aside from the 2:30 a.m. wake up, what a normal day is like for you, like going through the newscasting process and all that.
When I get up, I tend to drive in with the radio tuned to the Channel 6 channel, which I think it's 88.7, Ray, am I right? 88.7, is that the Channel 6? I think so. And usually World News Now is on, and they'll give you the headlines, so at least I have a sense of what are the top stories as I'm walking through the door. And I'm usually in the parking lot by between 3:30 and 3:40. Go in, take a quick look at email, make sure nothing major's happened. Then I take a look at the rundowns, what's in the show. I will go through the dailies. Anytime a news event happens here locally, the desk, the assignment desk, that's who gets all the information, is talking to the police, talking to the photographers about what they shot, and they put everything in a dope sheet. And so I go through and I look at anything that's come in overnight, going back to probably about the 5 o'clock show. And then I will check the AP wires, first domestic, then international, you know, especially now that there's been the transition and Obama is naming off people and other things are going on. And then internationally, the thing about a morning show is it's morning for us, but it's midday in Afghanistan and Iraq, in China, and other places where there are soldier casualties, earthquakes, fires, you name it. I want to ask a quick question before we go on to the next question, because it looks like you guys learn all sorts of things about television, both in front and behind the camera. How many of you want to be in front of the camera, ultimately? Okay. And how many of you want to be behind the camera? It's news photographers, editors, etc. All right. You're not sure yet. Does anybody have a question about being behind the camera? And I'm sorry, I'm going to draft you because there's some things that I can't answer, but he's probably going to take off soon enough. Is there anybody who wants to ask a question to a photographer about life behind the camera?